86% of Americans hate what they do anyway.
Yeah.
You know, so if some of these shitty jobs can be replaced and be made autonomous, and the people that used to have to do those jobs can either do something else and still make a strong living and maybe do things they want to do, it's a healthier society.
Yeah, I agree that there's a lot of bullshit jobs that, and then if people hate their jobs, if they have some form of workers' self-management, are they going to hate their jobs as much, or are they going to want to keep that job around if they have another option?
Well, sometimes if you just increase the incentive, people won't hate the job as much either. Like if you know, a lot of the times you have a shitty job and you get shitty pay, so then at the end of the week you're just making enough to make it to the next week.
Yeah, so higher wages.
So higher wages at the end of the week. Maybe you hated the job, but man, I got paid really good. I have a decent place to live. I've got all my needs. I'm pretty happy about it.
And some level of self-management where like you can
So
union rights and that kind of stuff.
Sort of, but not a union. It's a collective agreement from the society itself. We all agree that this is the best way to deal with this issue, and at the same time, it doesn't hurt the people that are really ambitious and pushing hard, because there's such an abundance. They're still doing they're doing better than they would do now, like greatly. I mean, just 10 times better, maybe, or maybe more than that.
Depends on how much we decide to raise the value of our currency by. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But why not raise it to what it needs to be? If you're basing it on the basic human needs, it's going to increase in value with time anyway, because it's actually going to it's going to have a reverse. It would have a reverse impact on inflation. Actually, inflation would actually cause the money to increase in value. So you wouldn't really have inflation. No. Inflation is kind of a weird thing anyway.
Oh, it's completely...
It doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
It's like what... Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of...
They tell us inflation is what happens when they print more money, but in like fucking, what was that? Yeah, 2008, they printed like $5 trillion, and there was next to no
$2 trillion this year.
Yeah.
So if we took the wealthiest, they say the Fortune 500, the top wealthiest 500 people in the country, right? So basically all billionaires. You took every penny of their net worth and you divided it up amongst every adult in the United States. It's only $8,700 each, $8,767. Right, so this is what I'm saying. There's not enough money.
There's not enough money.
If you took all the cash in the United States in circulation, like real money, not ones and zeros, and split it up, it's not enough money, right? It's just not enough.
So we need stronger economic growth to have more.
I don't know what the solution is.
In the current situation,
that would come about through economic growth.
Right. Yeah. Through business growth and stuff. But it's not. It's not going to be enough. It's never going to be enough.
I don't think the way we do it. Taxing can't be a solution, because no amount of tax. If we put the tax to 100%, it still doesn't matter.
It just stifles
taking it to 100, because that's over the ladder.
No. Some people are saying in the 70s. Some people are saying 50. But what you got to realize is
70s would really.
But also, if you look at most really successful entrepreneurs, they invest 90% of what they make back into their companies.
Because they're trying to avoid the...
No, because that's what they do.
No, yeah.
Like I reinvest 90% of what I make into business.
Yeah, I live on a fraction of what I make. I reinvest the lion's share.
Because people that do those types of things, that's what they do. They just create. They're just constantly trying to create new things.
A lot of them also are being the Jeff Bezoses and just hoarding as much money.
But Jeff Bezos isn't just hoarding money. All that's net worth. That's the evaluation of all of his businesses and everything that he has interest in.
Businesses and his assets and everything.
It's mostly things that are making
more money. So the only way you'd get the money out of the asset, so let's say you tax him.
You'd have to sell everything.
He'd have to sell everything. So literally the government would take his belongings, it'd take his businesses to create a tax, right? Let's say we tax his net worth.
But even then, it's still not money. It's not.
You'd have to sell things, right? So you would literally be taking his property.
And you're still just trading.
But then you're cycling it back out to people, and then the capitalistic society. I think if we took all the money in the world and divided equally across everybody, the people with the money would probably end up back with money again.
Well, that's true. But some people are still consumers. Enough money, though.
There's still not enough money, I agree. But some people are consumers. Some people are hustlers.
If you took all the money in the world and divided it amongst all the people in the world, there'd be very little money.
Yeah, but there's also a good amount of hustlers that are being discouraged by the fact that they can't necessarily invest.
I don't know any, man. I've got partners out the ass. None of them came from money. Every one of them's got a hustle story. If you're a hustler, you're going to find your way to the top. I look for hustlers every day. I partner with them all the time.
Well, you look at income mobility over the past like 20 to 30 years. A lot of it.
There's less opportunity. For sure today.
There's a lot less opportunity. That's what we
but
find
that's what
with
I'm talking
like
about
a
with
basic income.
Dude, man,
people
I'll go
that
to,
have that.
We'll go to Walmart after we leave here. I'll go buy a case of water for $4.99. We'll go sit at any intersection and hustle waters on a hot day and hustle waters for $1 a thing. I'm going to take $4.99. I'm going to turn it into $24, 24 pack of water. I'm going to turn it to $24, and I can do that a couple of times an hour, literally. And I can start turning a couple $100 a day off of $4 a day. I about guarantee you we should do a social study.
But you're not a normal person.
I'm not a normal person. But what I'm saying is I bet you I could go out on the street. It would take me several hours, and I could find enough change to buy the water. So start with $0. Go find money that's on the ground. Go to Walmart, buy a case of water, go sit in an intersection, sell a case of water. I bet you I could take that money and turn it into a 6-figure business in 60 days. But, and the information is there. All the technology, internet's almost everybody, all the books, positivity, information. I mean, all this stuff is learnable things. It's not, nobody.
Yeah, learnable things, but not a lot of people have either time or they don't think it's possible.
But that's business too, so that's the way your mind is wired.
No, I agree. I'm just saying everybody has the opportunity to do it.
Some people are just creative.
Not everyone
artists.
has the opportunity to do it, though.
I don't see how.
Well, not everybody has the capacity to do it.
If you can't read.
It's not even the capacity. Not a lot of people have the opportunity, or they're not told that they have the opportunity. They're discouraged from the moment they're born into a poor household.
I agree with that. Your family's the one that's going to put you in a box.
I grew up poor, but
yeah.
But I mean,
I'm not saying it's like no.
But a lot of people in those
rich,
situations don't ever get out of that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No. So then
that's what happens when you provide people with a basic income. A lot of studies show that people do have.
I don't think just a basic income.
Oh, we're going to need more
problem.
than a basic income.
I think you provide incentive for people to do, and that will. Just like the janitor thing, it's not a job that anybody wants, but if you make a good living at it, people will want to do it. If you're out working a terrible job, 40 hours a week plus maybe 60 hours a week, just enough to help you sustain that terrible job, and maybe not even enough to eat a balance. I mean, you're probably just barely eating anyway and paying your rent or whatever. There's no.
So is the
no
incentive though under? So the incentive though is having rewarding work.
Not necessarily.
I guess it depends on who.
It depends on
if there's enough financial incentive, it can outweigh the shitty job. But if it's a shitty job with shitty pay, then it's just a shit deal.
Yeah.
Which is how a lot of people are. I mean,
most
I
jobs.
forgot what the percentage is. It's the majority of the country is living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah, and 86% hate their job or something like that, right?
About 86.
So prior to COVID, I think it was 50% of people had less than $400 in the bank.
Yeah. I think for me the problem is I don't feel like taxing it because, like you just said, people aren't aware of the opportunity, right? Mm-hmm. Well, if you're a parent out there, then your job needs to be to start to educate yourself and educate your kids. If the government can give people money, why can't the government give people self-help books and access to the information, right?
That's essentially how the money is treated, though.
Well, it's not that way, though, because I got a lot of people when I was growing up that got the money and they sold their food stamps for 50 cents on the dollar to get cash to go buy drugs with, right? So, that's not the way the money works.
But that still goes back to a lack of incentive and a lack of opportunity. And
that's true in cases, but only by studies where there have been basic income. It's been ultimately good, and people use the money to grow.
That is true. There was another studies that have showed it.
And there was a study where they took, I think it was 9 or 10 homeless people, and they gave them a certain amount of money throughout the year, and by the end of the year a huge majority of them had a job or they had a roof.
Homelessness is a different issue.
There's a mental health issue there too, but I agree.
But with
typically
and with basic income, there's just not enough money to make that work efficiently because if you implement,
we can always print more money though.
But it's still the wrong. It's the structure of the money, the way it works with inflation because when you're printing more of it, you're dividing it further.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think everybody should get a trophy?
Everybody should get a trophy?
I don't think...
if you compete in a sport, should there be a winner and a loser? Or Like if we're competing at something,
I don't think there has to be losers in society.
No, but I'm asking, like in general, like if when you played video games, should you win every single time you play, no matter what?
No.
So there has to be a consequence to poor decisions. And in the business world,
should that consequence be inability to feed yourself?
I think the right analogy,
even for rich people,
it is. And look at where our society is right now.
No, I mean, but it is. But rich people make the same. I lost every single thing I had. Literally everything plus $2 million in negative, and I had to move into my parents' garage for 18 months, right? So I mean, I started over. I had the same consequence. Actually, I had more to risk than somebody that had nothing because I had something to risk.
You're an outlier,
a parents' garage,
but you'd have a parents' garage.
Not to minimize having to go through that, but like,
I mean, I could have lived in a car. It wouldn't have mattered to me.
But you did have a place to go.
Yeah, but I could have lived on the street. Same thing. I mean,
a lot of people don't have the place to go. But I think the better analogy is: do you want your kid to go to the gymnastic school where they have a concrete floor, or the one where they have mats? Because they're gonna fall.
Yeah. Right now, we don't even have a concrete floor. We have a bunch of spikes that are put there by a bunch of right-wing politicians.
We can fix that problem, but we can't fix it with the current system.
Yeah,
it's just that you can't. You just can't do it. You'll destroy productivity. I mean, we saw it with Marxism and any social, like completely socialist society, it fails because you
it
you're still
depends
dealing
on
with
how
the same
you
problem.
define the socialism.
Any socialist experiments been done in the past.
Communist, like Marxist.
Both communism or socialism. They both lead
well,
to the same
because
problems.
socialism, I mean, there are lots of different types of socialism. And first of all, I want to be clear about Bernie Sanders and AOC. These aren't socialists, at least not their policies. That it's social democracy, and I think that's a distinction.
AOC's she crosses over into socialism for sure. Bernie, I think Bernie is more of a lot of his ideologies are very just kind of straight socialism too.
But which ones?
I think, like he had said something about this certain tax increase for people like Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk, and it was completely impossible.
But that's another example of something being social democratic.
But it's still,
taxes exist in other countries that aren't socialist.
I mean, his tax idea would have bankrupted both of those people completely. It had an exponential factor to it. It would actually eventually just wipe them out. And it wasn't reasonable. Like it was requiring more taxes than they actually have in liquid capital.
Well, let me specify.
But regardless of that, I think he means well, and I think his ideologies are in the right direction. He cares about raising the floor in society. Yeah. But he's still dealing with a broken structure. Like it just can't work that way, because if you raise the taxes to 70% of the top 1%, it's going to affect the growth of the society. It's going to stifle the growth, and it's going to slow down productivity and innovation and
like
incentive.
That's what I just said. The Laffer curve tops at like 73%.
But I don't agree with that though, because I know people that move from states to go from 5% tax to zero. I know big corporations,
but also the majority of that tax money is not going in the pockets of those people that own those companies either. It's going into more business. So that's where there's a big misunderstanding that they're not pocketing that money. That's not money. It's net worth. The more they invest, the more their value goes up.
Yeah.
But people like Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk, they're not doing what they do for the money anyway. They're doing it because they want to create these mega things that are it's just what they do. Like Amazon started out as a book company that sold books online in the 90s.
Holy shit, that's crazy to think about.
Yeah, so he's just a creator. All he's doing is creating, and now he's bringing in people that know how to do stuff that he wants to do, and they're doing it, and they're creating. I think ultimately these are good things, good technologies. We don't want to create a system that stops that. We just want to create a system that allows other people to keep growing as well.
Yeah, if he's going to invest in his company, should the government not direct that in the way of saying like, hey, if you're going to invest in your company, you have to pay your workers a fair wage. You have to.
Well, that's why if we change the structure of the social structure of the society, that will fix that problem.
Which is really.
And I think Amazon pays their employees pretty well anyway, comparatively.
Well, I didn't hear that.
I think Amazon pays their employees fairly well comparatively anyway.
Because they were forced to by essentially they were forced to by Bernie Sanders and Ro Khanna trying to raise their taxes. The Stop Bezos Act in, I think that was 2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
And also, I think that just the paying them higher wages alone doesn't really outweigh the fact that like their bathroom breaks are like you should like look at
I know
some of the
how
stuff
it works for them.
And I think that if he's got $1 trillion company and he's not letting his workers even in one I said chapter. I don't know what the one branch unionize. I think that you don't have your employees.
Well, if he does unionize, he knows prices are going to go up on the products because the shipping costs will go up. All the expense. So when you have a retail business, you have a product, and the cost of that product is the price that was paid to purchase the product from the manufacturer. Mm-hmm. It's also the cost of your employees that go into the cost of that product. Mm-hmm. You know how much it's handled, or how much. Employee.
You have to account for every
all the wages that go into touching that product and the process, the sales process. Yeah. What it costs to have the website that you sell it on, whatever tiny percentage that goes into that product. But all those things, all those expenses are accounted for in the prices of your products. So if any of those expenses go up, and especially companies like Amazon, which run on a really small margin, all the product prices are going to increase because they'll have to. Because it has to be paid for, and there still has to be a margin.
But not to the point where the higher wages are like completely no.
I don't know. I don't know.
Because
if you're at McDonald's, you have enough volume to spread it out across.
Yeah,
and so Amazon has volume.
Well, consumer spending, like I said, has a higher influence on a company's bottom line above a certain size.
Yeah.
Then,
but it's still going to increase prices, and it's still going to impact the economy, the society.
If the costs go up for the business,
at what level is it going to?
That's a good question. Up? But if the costs go up for the business, the price has to go up.
Right. Yep.
Or
there's no
like
point.
I can tell you exactly what it costs.
The margin gets too small. There's no.
Yeah, you switch to a different business. And we've had that happen, but like we'll have a widget, whatever it is from China, and like this, this widget from China is 13 cents. But by the time I ship it here and get it here, and then the time I have my people put it together, I've got 4 guys that are back there, and they're putting the widget together, and then it takes on average 3.5 hours. You take their 4 salaries times 3.5, you get that. You get, okay, what about the power to the building? We have to fractionalize that, so we break it down we do it per minute in a month. Mm-hmm. Break it down all the way. Break down the water that's used. Break down every single thing. Sarah Lee, by the way. In Randolph County used to spend over $300,000 a month on their water bill, which was when they were washing the fabrics. So like they have this fabric, this product, but before it can go out and be packaged, they had to wash it. And their water bill a month was over $300,000 to the local water company, right? So like you have all these things that factor in. That's the total cost to produce the good. And if the total cost to produce the good goes up, your price that you're selling it for has to go up as well.
So do you think that tax relief for small businesses, like creating a tax incentive to pay them a higher wage?
Well, I think you have to have both.
I think natural selection causes you to pay more people. Like if you have a company, right, and you don't pay appropriately, you're going to lose those people to your competition.
It still doesn't have to be that way. Here's my problem.
That's the way it is now.
Well, yeah, that's how it is
now. If we underpay an employee, that's a real quality employee. They're
going to leave.
They're going to leave, and somebody else is gladly going to pay them more. I mean, it happens in real life now.
That's true. But unfortunately, there's some people in society that just
they don't have the option to.
They don't have the capacity to do something like that.
Because that's what puts food on their table.
But also.
Which
this tax, the increasing tax to match these higher minimum wages is the same. It's the same spiral. It's like running on a treadmill, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe a long treadmill. So you're getting it. Maybe you're moving forward slightly, maybe,